Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 48 of the new Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we're going to make snippets, so I just have a lot of things out here because you can make snippets with just about anything. There's two types of snippets. There's fabric snippets and there's paper snippets. And so we're going to make some, and then I'll show you just a little quick idea of what you could kind of do with them. So first we'll start with the paper. And what I have out is I just have some of our stickers because it's nice to have a focal point on your snippet. I have some bling and different types of our painty papers. I have our stapler out here and some glue. And that's what I've got, our little bits here. And all sorts of paper, and I've got my box of, this is my box of just all little tiny bits of extras, which work perfect for your snippets. So with a snippet, you know, there's a lot of different ways that people do them. I normally do mine kind of individually, but also people sometimes they'll just take a background piece of paper and then they will lay out a few snippets on that paper and then rip them apart. I just like to do them individually, so I brought out my tear ruler. And for the background, I'm just going to use, we made this tear ruler. I'll try and remember to link it below. And you can make your snippets any size that you want to. I usually make mine around 2 inches. There's no reason for that. That's just kind of seems to be, now as I think about it, that's about the size that I make them. But you can make them any size you want. If you wanted to put it on the front of a card, you could make it maybe even bigger. And then just put a little backing behind it. Or color your card. But so we'll start out with a base. So all snippets just start with a base. I usually use about 3 or 4 layers of different types of either fabric or paper. And that's what I use for my snippets. So then we'll just kind of, maybe I'll just pull some of these things out of here. And I said there's, you know, you could make fabric ones or you could make paper ones. You could also make paper and fabric. You can mix them up. So, and then depending on the amount of layers that I'm going to use, I might use more layers with little pieces or just 3 layers or so with larger pieces, getting smaller as you go down to your focal point. I need to figure out what I did with my scissors here. Here they are. Okay, and I kind of like this. This was a paper flower. We had folded up a piece of paper and cut out a flower, but I'm just going to kind of cut around it because I don't like the harsh edges for this project. So I'm just going to kind of cut around it, leaving a little bit of the extra paper. And I will apologize right now. This may be a whiny video, not me whining, but my husband had to go outside and get some work done, and he brought his dog back in. And his dog does not like to be in the house when his dad is outside. So he is probably going to be a little bit whiny. Hopefully he does stay in the other room. But I'll just give you a fair warning. So see, now that's kind of cute. And it just gives you just a little interest. Now, how much will it show up? We don't know. So you just kind of layer things up until it's like you want it. And you may not really know how you want it until you get it there. I think I like this longer one. And you can leave things stick over the edge. They don't have to be within your background square. So I kind of like the way that that looks. I'm going to take this plain bit off of here. And I'm sure that that's very hard for you to see. Do I have a piece of paper here? I just need a piece of white paper. Hold on, I'm going to grab some white paper. Sorry about that. Okay. So you just go ahead and you just keep layering things up until you think that it's right. And I normally don't glue them down until I know, yep, I think that's how I want it. because that way if I think, oh, once I've glued it down and then I find something else and think, oh, I wish I would have done that, I don't want it glued down until I really know that I've got it the way that I want it. So if I do it like that and then stick something right in the middle, that's kind of cute. The purple paper is a little plain. And I have some dictionary page that's pink, but then I've also got the other that's pink. So I don't think I want that. And so you just keep playing with it until you get it the way that you want it. You can stamp on it with your homemade stamps and your paint. You can do all sorts of things. Just basically it's just a mini collage is what it is. Okay, so when I put this on there, it makes all of these look too much in the center because they're just not showing. So I'm going to just move them out a little bit towards the edges. And because I'm using little bits, I'm definitely using more than like 3 pieces of paper. I think I like the way that that looks, so I'm just going to glue them down. And you just do want to make sure that you get enough glue on there to keep them down, because whatever you're going to turn them into, you want to make sure they're not going to fall apart. You can use them to make paper clips. You can use them on your, we have some little clothespins. You could use them on the clothespins. You can use them on the front of a card, on the front of an ATC. You know, so there's really, they're just something that, and if you do a bunch of them up and then just have them in your stash, you can use them when you want to make something, and you'll have already kind of like a little jumping off point, something to start with, maybe a color to start with, or a pattern, or something like that. So this is what we have so far with some papers all glued together. And again, just in the way of a collage. And then let's try, do we want to put, I think the butterflies are almost too big to put on there. But what about a shiny center for our flower? Just like that. And you know what? I almost always make my snippets square. And I don't know why. They don't need to be square. And that's just a cute little snippet. So that would make, just kind of show you here. Let's say you wanted to send someone just a little thank you card. A lot of times when I do thank you cards, I just do them small. Like this. And maybe a little background color. I wouldn't leave it white. And put your thank you on the inside, or a little note on the inside. And then just take your snippet and put it right there on the front of your little card. And it really looks cute. So that's one way that you can use your snippets. We'll just go ahead and, I didn't bring out any color whatsoever. If I had brought out my markers, I could have at least edged it a little bit. But, and again, I'm going to just put it on there, just on a little angle like that. And then edge those edges, and you could even round your corners. But I think that that's a cute little card, and it's just a really quick way. Again, if you have a bunch of these made up, just cut out a card out of cardstock. This is just regular paper. Cut it out of cardstock, and you know, put some interest in the background, slap a snippet on the top, and boom, you've got a little card, and it's done, and it's just that quick. And people will know that you made it. It looks handmade because it's all of your own hand-painted papers and everything. It doesn't have to be, but that one just happens to be. So then a lot of times people will just, they'll make their snippets with, of course now I cut our paper, but there's enough here to look at. We'll just make one with larger pieces of paper. Again, I'm going to use my tear ruler because I'm no good at tearing a straight line. And then they just use 3 or 4 different pieces of paper. It doesn't have to be little bits so collaged like that. So you'll take one piece and then you'll find another piece that you like. We've got this dictionary paper. And we're going to just make it a little smaller than the paper that's already there. I think a little smaller than that. You want to be able to make sure that you see everything. So you've got that. And then maybe we have our tissue paper here. It's nice to have different textures when you make these types of things. So we've got this, and now maybe I just want to crunch this up a bit to give it a little bit of dimension. And just make sure that it fits, but we do want to see what's under there. So we could also take this one and put it a little to one side, and then put this one a little maybe to the other side. This is too straight over here, so I'm going to take that off because I don't like it. So we'll just put, I like the way that that looks, and see, that's only 3 pieces. So it doesn't have to be a huge amount of layers. Paper bags look really good, just your brown paper bags or craft paper, but you don't have to buy craft paper. You can just use a paper bag that you have instead of craft paper. I'm even going to kind of just squunch that a little bit on the glue, give it a little texture. You can put it on with your water glue if you want to. Whoops. You can't get glue out if you don't take your lid off. That's just a quick tip. There we go. And I love the tissue paper because you can see through it. So now you can kind of see the pink paper behind and the purple paper behind. Now that one with just the 3 pieces of paper would be a perfect one to put a sticker on. Let's do this purple butterfly. If I can get it off, there we go. Just want to push down the background. There we go. And see, that's really cute. Now you could also go through a magazine and find a word that you like. So let's see. I don't see anything there. But you just go ahead and just look through your magazine and just find something. There we go. This might be too big, but this might work. And again, because it's on a white background, I would probably put just a little bit of color on it. Even if I just color the edges. I'm just going to rip around there. And even actually the and sign that was between these 2 words, that would have even been cute to put on there. Just all by itself. Definitely, it sticks out a little much, but with just a little bit of color, which I can just put a little color on it later, just to knock it back a little bit. And there we go. There's another little snippet. Again, put it on the front of a card. Wouldn't that be cute? So, and so what you can do with those also is, you can, hold on a minute, we'll just put this one on a paper clip. Now, do I want it to go like that? I'm going to kind of, maybe I can turn my word just a little bit. Whoops, maybe not. Because I kind of want to put it so it hangs at a bit of an angle. Now, this could be, you can put this on the outside of a journal. You can put it, put a magnet on the back and stick it on your fridge and use it to hold notes. But it's just cute. You can clip it on anything. If you put a bow on the top of a package, you can go ahead and just clip this right on there. Anything that you would want to clip something to, now that will clip right on. So a lot of times, like if I have this box just like sitting on my where everything is at, I make things like this and I'll just put it on there so that when I look at the front of this box, I've got this on here and it looks cute versus just looking at that on my shelf. So just stick it right on there and boom, you've got a little decoration. Maybe it's a little too low, so I'll pick it up a little bit. So we've got a card and we've got a clip. Take that off there right now because that needs to dry. Okay, and then, so, you know, so paper, that's the way to do paper snippets, and that's a couple things that you can do with them. Fabric, I just have a whole bunch of, I just grabbed out my box of just bits, and I have more bits here. Whenever I do my fabric ones, I like to try and do a couple colors of fabric, and, let me see here, I'm going to move these things. I like to do a couple colors of fabric, and I like to do some lace, and I like to do some fibers, you know, just string or yarn or anything that we have. The other thing is, and I sew my fabric. The other way to make a really quick snippet, you just, again, get your layers together. And you just line up whatever it is that you want to have on there. And you don't have to be so picky, but you do want it to look, you want to pick something that you like the looks of. So there, we've just got some layers there. Then you can just take your stapler. I'm going to put these back real quick. We are going to use a colored staple to staple it together. And we color our own staples with permanent marker. Any regular staples, you just color them with your permanent marker, any color that you want them. And then if they show up on the front of your, whatever you're stapling, it looks cute. And you do and you don't notice the difference. If you leave them silver, you notice that they're silver. If you color them sometimes to match your project, somebody may or may not notice that you colored them, but it does actually make a difference. So we're just going to, I have some of our staples here. And so for that one, I would probably want like purple or red. I don't know that I like the red. Do I have purple? I've got green and yellow. There's purple right there. And so all of these staples were just colored with permanent marker. Just take your permanent marker and color it right on there. And I usually have some that are colored and ready to go in all the different colors, so that if I need a color, I just grab it and pop it in. And then I normally pop them out and put them back in my thing, just so that I don't staple something with a color I don't want. And you can just do one staple. You could do a few staples. And there we go. So that just gives it a little texture, gives it a little interest. And again, put a focal point on the top. And you will have a cute little snippet. Now, you can also just go this far with your snippets. You can cover your staple if you want. You can leave it showing. You see, they're purple. You can leave them showing because they look kind of cool. And you can make your snippets just to the point of there's no focal point on top. Make some in different colors. Do some oranges, red, yellow, green and blue, whatever. Make some different colors and don't put a focal point on top. And then when you need a snippet for something, but you want the focal point to go with whatever project you're doing, you put the focal point on at that time. If you're doing something that's, I don't know, if you're doing a bunch of mushrooms, you may not want a butterfly snippet on that project. So, so you just go ahead and try to find a larger piece of fabric, because again, I do like to do them about 2 inches. Ooh, this one's a pretty one. That green one too, but I like this one. So see, in this one, I went ahead and I had shredded the edges so that it had the nice frayed edge. And I think I'm going to take off a little bit from this side because I like that coloring better. We'll see how well it rips. If it doesn't rip, I'll just cut it. Yeah. This fabric, whatever it is, does not want to, it rips this way very well. It does not want to rip that way. So I'm just going to cut it. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this one a little straighter because it's a little crooked. So I usually like to have a piece of fabric or 2, and then I like to have some little strips of fabric. And this one is really quite pretty. Just put a strip of that on there. Just one is good. Okay, now this is really pretty. I think I'm going to take a little bit of this. And I'm going to put that on top of the lace. And so I'm going to take a little piece of lace. I have to decide, do I want just like this big fabric part of the lace, or do I want this lace that is like an actual, like a lace ribbon? But I like this out here better. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of that, making sure that it's smaller than what I'm putting it on because I don't want it to stick out. And then a little bit of this. Maybe I'll put that under the... And this is quite large, so I would probably use this on a sewing piece. And I don't usually glue fabric. I try and sew it, because even though sewing is not my thing really, I just don't like how hard fabric gets when you put glue on it. I don't like the feel of it. And to me, a lot of things that I create, I like to have a little, I like to be able to touch them and feel the texture. And, to me, fabric ought to be soft. That's just me. And you don't have to do it that way. You can glue them down. And when you glue, you don't have to use Fabri-Tac. I think Fabri-Tac is supposed to make your fabric not get as stiff. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure that I know that's true, one way or the other. Because actually I do use Fabri-Tac sometimes, but more even on paper projects, because it dries so fast. And I want to keep that inside my edges. Don't have to, but I want to. So I'm just going to bring that piece of yarn over a little bit and tack it down there. And so there we have those. Now I'm thinking I still might need some color there. I've tacked everything. And it is a little bit wrinkly here because I took my thread all over the place. I'm okay with that because that just gives it kind of like some movement. If you want it to be flat, then you just make sure that you don't pull your thread tight. But that's definitely a little plain on top. Let me cut this off. Put it where hopefully I won't lose it. And now this is very square also, so I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to just kind of round these square corners. Don't like the looks of them there. Just round those and take them off. It also lets me see a little bit more of what's underneath. Okay, so now we have this, and then we just have to decide what do we need to do on top of this. And I always, when I don't always, but almost always, I do put buttons at the very top of my fabric snippets. Now look, here's a really cute bow. If I put that there and put a button on it, I like that. I'm gonna pull these tails down, just try and straighten them out a little bit because they were very wrinkly from sitting in that box. So put those, I like that. That's cute. I don't know if I like that there. I think I like it over there better. And again, so this could go on if you are making some kind of a fabric journal or a piece of fabric art. This can be sewn right on there. And it's an actual piece it's done already. So once you put it on there, it's going to help you like have a focal point on that project. And sometimes I even almost start with these. I have a background fabric, and then I'll put something like this on, because then I go from these colors throughout the rest of my project, whether it's a journal page or whether it's just a piece of art. I like framing fabric things. I think that they look pretty. Basically, it's like a fabric collage, and I like the way that it looks. So if I do one that I think is really pretty, I'll frame it. And I've really messed up this back. Messed up the thread crazily. Come on. Here we go. Get my needle out of there. Okay. If I can't get it straightened out, I will just put a little bit of glue on it. I'm going to try and pull each thread to see if one of them will pull those loops through. And neither one does. So I'm going to cut it off way up by the needle. I did get a knot in it, so that was good. And just to kind of hold these down so they don't come loose on the front. And again, I don't like to glue things on my fabric, but I don't have any problem with this. Just a little bit of glue, and then just kind of tap it down. It's not too much glue, but that will hold those threads right there so that they don't possibly come loose on the front. And then you have a problem with your front just hanging down there. And I need to get just a little bit more thread. And I'm going to sew the button on. Now, I have white thread. If you don't want white thread, if you have a permanent marker, even a watercolor marker will work, but it may like come off. It won't be as solid as permanent. But if you have white thread and a dark blue button and you think, I don't want white thread on a dark blue button, then just take a dark blue permanent marker and run it across your thread. Just put your thread down, just put your marker on there a few times, kind of flip it around, and you may still see a little bit of white, but it will be kind of like blue and white. So if you don't like this stark white, you won't see it like that. And a lot of times if I'm using white thread, a lot of times I like to make an X on my button. Because that way, I just like the looks of the X more than I like the looks of, uh-oh, now I really mess that up. My hands are very rough. Oh, come on now. Try and... Not sure exactly what I've got going on here. Oh, no. So I can cut it off if I need to and start over again. Go down here where my needle's at, see if I can pull the threads one at a time. There we go, got it. And I get my needle back down to the bottom, and be careful now not to catch it again. And whenever you're sewing a button, you want to try and make sure don't come up through the hole you just went down in. Other than that, it doesn't matter which way you go. But if you come back up through the hole you just went down in, a lot of times, believe it or not, you'll hit exactly the spot where you went down. As you come back up, you'll hit exactly the same spot. It'll just pull your thread right up. So just pick a different hole to go up and down in. And I just move my needle around till I find one. Doesn't matter so long as I'm not coming up the one I just went down. And so one more this way. And I think that's good. Now, also, if you don't like that white and you don't have a permanent marker, put a little piece of bling on top of that button. And that looks really cute. I like that. And that's just a fabric snippet that would look really cute on a project. What did I do with the bling? Here, what if we took one of these? I guess that's the one that wanted to be out here. And there we go. That just gives it even a little bit of sparkle. So are these a little too long? Yeah, I think they kind of are. So I'm going to just kind of cut them at an angle. Like that. And there we go. Now we have a little fabric snippet. So, and if you want to make a fabric like this one, because of the size, I would use it for sewing. But if you make them a little smaller, they make really cute little paper clips. So we'll just kind of try and do one of those really quick. Sew a piece of fabric. And then I'm going to go with a different piece of fabric. I like this purple right here. You just don't want these to be quite as big. So there's a little bit of fabric. And got some thread here. And I like the looks of that. So I'm going to take some of this pink and see if we got a little purple in it. I put that there. And I think I'm going to sew those there and put a button on top. Now maybe I would put a little piece of lace under that. Normally, I'll do that. Sometimes I get in a little bit of a hurry on the videos just because of time-wise for uploading them, and just even for, you know, some people would prefer shorter videos. Put that towards the bottom. And I'm gonna change my thread to just one. I usually double my thread. I put the knot in both of them at the same time because I'm notorious for pulling the needle off the thread. But in order to make this piece of thread go as far as I want it, hopefully this will work. So I'm just going to make sure that I tack down everything that I have here. And I'm going to put a button in the middle. Whoops. I've caught my fabric here. Did I go? I did. All right, now I have to take it off. My thread was coming up right there out of that blue one, and then I went around my fabric and came up through the bottom again. When I thread a needle, I kind of try and just pinch my thread, then find my eye, and just kind of slide the eye down onto the thread. There we go. Okay. Go the right way. Now, I'm going to find a little button to put on there. But I just saw a purple one come out. Whoops, that's cute. And if you have a bunch of dark buttons like these ones, paint them white and then paint them any color you want to. So, you don't have to leave them or use, dang, I unthreaded again. See, that's why I usually double my thread before I put the knot in it. And I have not got my lace tacked down at all yet. So I know I need to still go and do that. Or on this one, I could put a little bit of glue under it because I know what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to turn this one into a paper clip. A hidden paper clip, and I love to make these, and I will make a bunch of the paper clip ones, and then I will show you in a minute. I take a piece of cardstock and I cut slits in it, and so then I just put the paper clip right on the slit all the way across, and I'll do like a whole 8.5 by 11 piece of paper full of paper clips, so that when I need one, I can just grab that out and I can look and see which one's going to look best for whatever I'm using it for. And I use them for bookmarks, just in regular reading, because they're not super heavy. And you can use them for bookmarks in your journal. You can use them to clip something into a journal. Okay, so and actually, since I do still have thread left, I'm gonna come up and tack that lace down. But I'm going to glue this to a piece of cardstock, so that's why I was saying I could glue it if I need to, because it is going to be stiff anyways. There we go, did it. Because I only have one knot there and it doesn't feel super tight to me, I'm going to leave that really long, so when I glue it to the cardstock, that will hold it. Got these extra bits sticking out here. I'm just going to try and carefully get those off of there. It'll give me a nice shaggy edge, and I like those. And if I glue, if my cardstock is as big as my thing, you can't take the threads out once you've glued it to your cardstock. If your cardstock is smaller than your fabric, then you can pull them a little bit until it hits where you've glued it to the cardstock. But, okay, now I had a piece of cardstock sitting right here. Here we go. So, to make a hidden paper clip, you just take a piece of cardstock, fold it however big your paper clip is, which this is not big enough. Okay, and then you're going to put your paper clip on there. And then you're going to take another piece of cardstock, which this one's not big enough either, because we know that because I just did that, but we're going to pretend that this is long enough. You want to take another piece of cardstock that is going to cover your paper clip, okay? So, and then you're going to glue it. And when you glue it, you want to make sure that you put glue between your paper clip here so that your paper clip does not pull out. So between your paper clip and all the way around each side, and, well, I don't need to go around the bottom of that because it doesn't reach, but, so we're going to go like that. And then again, make sure you get in the middle of your paper clip, both sides and underneath, and then take your other piece and put it on top. And a lot of times I'll make a bunch of these ahead of time too, just like this, nothing on the middle. Because then I can go ahead and I can put a snippet on it, I can put an inchy on it, I can put whatever I want on this once I have them made. Excuse me. So, like I said, normally this would be down past that, you know, it would be about that long, okay? Then what you're going to do, make sure that you push those centers down and get them dry. Now, normally I'll do a bunch of these just like this and set them aside and let them dry. Then what you do is you cut them. After they dry, they're easier to cut. And you're going to round the corners. You're not going to go straight. You're going to round the corners and leave about 1/4 of an inch or so. Not, you know, it doesn't need to be a whole bunch, between 1/8 and 1/4. And you can leave your sides as wide as you want it. If you want to make it as wide as whatever your project is, you can leave them wider. A lot of times when I make them different sizes. Like I'll make wide ones and skinnier ones. And then what you're going to do, now the reason we rounded that is because it's easier when you go to slip it on something. The points for some reason kind of seem to catch. I don't know why. Okay, so then we're going to glue this right to the back of our snippet. Just like that. And now we have a fabric snippet, a fabric paper clip with our little fabric snippet. And again, you can use them for bookmarks or on a page or whatever you want to use them for. So we'll just, you know, what I was talking about, like I will go ahead and just cut a line like this. And just do that and leave them. Remember that you want your paper clip is going to be on there. So then just come down a ways, cut another line. And usually I think I fit about 4 or 5 slits on a page. And so then you can take your paper clips and you just want to, after it's real dry, just kind of separate that just a little bit, you know, like just kind of move that out so that it just gives you a little area for your cardstock to catch. And then I just line them all up on there, and then you've got a whole bunch of them ready to go. And with the hidden paper clips, if you don't want to see the back side, you can also decorate the back side. And then, you know, still you will have this area. You'll just glue to just this back piece. Do not glue this together with whatever you put on the back. Only have glue on this part. If you glue this, if you have a piece of fabric that's as wide as this fabric and you glue that down, when you go to put your paper up here, it's going to stop right there because those are going to be glued together. There won't be any place for that paper to go. So you have to remember these edges have to stay unglued. So only glue on the paper, and you can stick something right on the back of it, and then you'll have a double-sided snippet. And a lot of times I just color the back, use colored, you know, I put a stencil on it, put a stamp on it, something like that. A lot of times I don't make it double-sided. It makes them thicker that way. But so that is just a few things. You can use them to make paper clips. You can make up lots of just backgrounds and have them ready to go before you put something on the front as your focal point. You don't have to even have a focal point, and you can use colored staples to put them together, glue. You can sew them. You can put them on fabric projects. You can put them on clips. And you can even make little thank you cards or any kind of, you know, little birthday card or whatever. So that is how to make your snippets, paper and fabric. It's just little bits of everything, and that's why you keep your little bits. I won't throw these away either, the ones I tore off the edge, because I may use them for something else, or I'll just use them in a background collage. So I just toss them in a box, and I just have them there, and when I do something like this, that's when I just pull that piece out, and there's that cute little, could put that cute little stamp on there. And then they're just ready to go. So there we go. That is our snippets. Fabric, paper, and a few things that you can do with them. And I'm sure that there are a million other things you can think of to do with your snippets. So thank you very much for watching. For next week, we are going to have our punches. So I don't have mine yet because we're not going, today is Friday. Oh, I don't even know what today is. Today's Wednesday, before Christmas. So hubby and I are going to go between Christmas and New Year's to the city, and I'm going to go get some punches for myself, for my stash. So that's what we're going to use next week. We're going to use punches. So, and I'm going to show you just a few things that I like to do with them other than even just the regular normal make a punch. So thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding Christmas. Bye-bye.